Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Milan Weekly Podcast channel. On this episode of Milan Weekly Podcast, Vinny, it's a little late. We got to sing him a lullaby later. It's a little too late, so I had to step in, and of course, that means me and Stevie P, the heavyweight champions of the world, are back tonight, and we got a little buffet going on, and you know me and Steve, we like to eat, baby. First, we're going to talk a little Hong Kong Dynamite victory for us. Exciting times. I'm happy. I'm hyped, but it's only preseason. We'll get into it. And then you got to pump the brakes because we got a Mercato that is just putting some people to bed. A lot of disappointment coming out today. The Black Panther's on his way out. All this and more tonight. We're going to talk. Me and Stevie got you locked in. But before anything, please, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the times we're going live. And when we drop new videos, please leave a comment. Hit the like button. If you're watching it later, share with Milanista friends or anybody that likes culture. Follow us on all of our social platforms and, of course, audio platforms. Patreon, super chats are open. We already got a super chat already, Steve. I mean, is there anybody better than Anthony?
Anthony, you're the best, brother. You're the best. And we're going to bring the heat at 10:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's go!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Milan Weekly Podcast Show. I'm Fabio, standing in for our boy Vinny T with, of course, the impeccable, the wonderful, the other half of my heavyweight tag team partner right here, Stevie P. Stevie P, how are you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, guys. Fantastic. The Mercato is kind of like heating up. I feel like we're getting into August. Yes, sad that summer's almost ending, but wow. Serie A Calcio is going to start, guys, and we're going to bring the heat. Been really busy. A lot of exciting projects for me this summer. Wow, 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 wow. Let's go.
Well, let's start by saying here at Milan Weekly Podcast, we are not professionals.
Nor do we pretend to be.
But it's here where we talk all things Milan, even when the Milan is moving slower than my nonna's dial-up internet or Gio's McDonald's Wi-Fi. But we are still here. And you know what, Steve? Before we move on and talk to Milan, because we got a lot of up and down going on, please tell us what you've been doing, Steve, because you've been doing great work, my friend. Me and Vinny got to mention it last week, but I want to give you a chance to plug it right here at the top. Talk to us about Vintage Pitch.
Guys, it's a passion project. It's something that started in 2010. I needed to bring it back, guys. I felt like there was a lack on the drip. There was a lack on the, t-shirts that told the story. And it's exactly that, guys. VintagePitch.com. One of the taglines is "Wear the story," and that's what it is. You know how I am. I'm one of those vintage guys. I love the game, the way it was played. I love the t-shirts, the way they were worn. Guys, it's something that, I'm really passionate about. I'm doing it with a childhood friend that, he took me, he said, "Steve, I need to get you back into this." And I said, "Great, on one condition, you do it with me." And, his name is Nick Bagnoli. We played soccer. We have pictures of ourselves playing soccer at like 5 years old. And now we're together running this company. It's local here in Montreal. It's all designed. It comes from Stevie P's brain. It comes from Nicky B's brain. We're going to introduce Nikki B to the people of Milan Weekly Podcast. And guys, once you check us out, you're a Patreon member, you have the code, and I have to give a shout out because I see him in the comments. The first supporter of vintagepitch.com, Facebook Frank, and his beautiful daughter wearing a beautiful, beautiful Rossoneri t-shirt. Today, guys, I'm sporting Derby della Madonnina, guys. We went so deep as to copy the floor of Il Duomo, guys. So it's Derby della Madonnina. I'm going to get up a little bit slowly. Boom. The red and the blue, the stupid blue. We had to put it. We put the date, but it's beautiful, guys. So it might not hit the Europeans very much, but North Americans, they're loving it. Orders are coming in. Guys, any support is great. Thank you, guys. Vintagepitch.com.
I love it. I love it. Guys, support Stevie P, support Vintage Pitch. As Stevie said, the link is in the bio and description of this video. All right, Steve, let's get into it, baby, because it's been a while. It's been a while. Oh, before we move on, does Nick support a team?
Well, now he asked me if I sell Nick,
Yes,
my partner,
yes.
Nick.
Yes, yes.
Yes, he does. He does. Nick does support a team. He's unfortunately a Juventino.
Oh, man. And we were getting to like Nick so quickly, but it's all right. There's a lot of good Juventine out there. Club, not so much, but people are all right. They're all right. All right, let's get into it, Steve, because Milan, despite a very poor, not a great showing against Arsenal in Singapore, Saturday morning was a little different. All right. And obviously, I don't know about you, but anytime it's Milan versus Liverpool, something stirs up inside of me. I don't know what it is. It's the 2005. I just can't let it go. Even in a preseason, I want revenge. And boy, we got it. 4-2 in Hong Kong. Let's go through a little bit. Our goal scores, obviously, Leao getting us on board with a beautiful play by Pulisic to release him. Leao does everything else. Really nice to see. Finishing, hard shot, no chance for the keeper. Hard shot right across into the right side of the net. I was happy to see that. And then, of course, we have to give it up. And we go in tied. But Loftus-Cheek looked pretty good getting the second goal. Again, a nice play with him and Leao. But Loftus-Cheek does a lot of good thing there at the end to get the second goal. And then a dupleta. A dupleta by Okafor, the forgotten man. They didn't even...
Stop. It's not a dupleta. It's a doppietta.
So what are your thoughts on the game, Steve?
Look,
I know it's preseason, but what were your thoughts?
So exactly that, Fabio. You took the words out of my mouth. It is preseason, guys. That Liverpool team is stacked. They have the young German that started practicing. I think he made his Wirtz made his debut for Liverpool. They're still trying to figure out, the Colombian going to. I think he's, Diaz is going to.
Bayern Munich, maybe
Bayern Munich for 80 million. So I think they're still trying to figure out their stuff. They did go through a really tough, off-season, mega event, right, with Jota. So I didn't take too much of it. I was really focusing on Milan. I didn't care who Liverpool started. I didn't care what they were doing. Because I wanted to focus on Milan and see what they're doing. Regardless of letting in the 2 goals, I think defensively they looked more organized with Allegri, and I think he's trying to implement this counter-attack style football, which I don't mind. If Leao is Leao, guys, and we said it throughout all these years that we were following him. If Leao is Leao and he plays simple and he plays smart and he does what he does best, he's very dangerous. And you saw how fast he is, how he can finish close to the net, even though, my opinion, I think it was a bad run. I think it was a great finish, bad run. But everything else seemed to click, right? We need Loftus-Cheek to stay healthy if they're not going to reinforce the midfield. I just liked the way Milan was taking the game, right? We will be playing once a week, so there's no rest for these guys. And I liked it. I liked that Milan played a much better game than they did against Arsenal. That's for sure.
Let me ask you, who impressed you most of the game? obviously you can go with Leao. You could say Okafor coming in the second half and scoring 2 goals. But who of the full roster that you got to see on Saturday, did anybody impress you? I know it's
Again,
preseason. I know it's hard,
it's
but
it's
like
really hard.
like
You know,
me, mhm.
go ahead, Fabio.
I was going to echo what Anthony's saying. Salamax has definitely improved his game during the 2 loan spells at Bologna and Roma, and I saw the highlights how much he's improved. Yes, I mean, Okafor's goal is a phenomenal finish by him, but it's a great pass by Salamakas. Again, showing why the kid needs to stay. So I've definitely been impressed by him, and and I got to say, look, I don't know if Leao can play that front striker. Always been a winger, seems to do best. That's even seems where he thinks he plays best. But the way that they've been kind of utilizing this idea of having Salamanca play that right wing back on the right side and having Pulisic, I guess, be the second striker to lay out, where they could intertwine each other, and one goes to the left while Pulisic goes to the left, Leao goes to the left. They can kind of switch off. Is that going to work during the regular season? I don't know, but it was. I just don't know how they incorporate a striker like this and work with Leao, because I don't think Leao can be a second striker. And then how he's not playing left wing back. That's not happening. We're not seeing Leao play defense. Maybe this is just him saying, "Look, this is what I have at my disposal right now. When I have the full roster, we'll go back to a 4-3-3, and I'll play really how I want to play with the guys that I have." Because I've heard Allegri say he doesn't want players to adapt to him. He's going to adapt to the players that he has. So to me, that would make more sense. You could keep trying this idea of him as a striker, but he's been here for 6 years. We know not necessarily that is his strength. His strength is on the left side. But who knows, Steve, right? Anything can happen. But overall, I just want to say, from the 2 games you've seen, I know you mentioned Allegri. Defensively, we looked a little better. But do you feel a little more hopeful moving forward right now in what you've seen from Allegri's Milan?
I've never hid the fact, Fabio, that that I'm not an Allegri fan, and you know, I was listening to some people talk this week, and it says it's his chance to, go back in time and prove himself that he can be a modern day coach, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, what we saw against Liverpool, like you said, was, this is what he had, and he put it out there, and it worked, right? So, Salchicha Maker, guys, we didn't hide the fact that, he was a guy who gave everything, and he gives his 110%, but he's actually playing on his loan spells in both Bologna, Roma, and now at Milan, is playing the position that they purchased him to play. He is a right wing back. We thought that he could play right back,
Right wing, left wing.
right wing, left wing. You know, it's really hard for these guys to manipulate into something that they're not used to. But now he's playing right wing back, which is the position they purchased him to purchased him to play. And additionally to that, you can add that, yeah, once we bring in, once Jimenez comes back, because he's a striker, and I don't know what they're going to do in the Mercato, then Allegri has a multiple things that he can try with what he has at his disposal, right? There will be injuries. There will be, yes, we're playing once a week, but he has to find what is the best 11 and roll with that 11.
And you know what? You're mentioning the fact that right now we really, and we're going to get to who's leaving, but at the moment, there's a lack of speed, a lack of movement in our Mercato at the moment. And now you can say, look, we just picked up the Ecuadorian back, Estupian. We got him. So at least we addressed the left back, and maybe they'll roll with Batasagi as his backup. But what about the striker? Because right now we just have Jimenez. We don't have a second striker at the moment. I guess you can consider. And you made this comment. Milan are moving not like it's towards the end of July and they should be making moves to get ready, but they're kind of like it's August 31st. There's not even. They're so slow, and they're entertaining everything for one guy. Almost like what everybody said Maldini's biggest error was, is just like all your chips on one guy. Everything's about this one guy, one guy, one guy. But there's still a lot of places, a lot of holes. So why do you think they haven't been moving as fast as it looked like we were going to do at the beginning? Like July 1st, July 2nd, it looked like we were going to pick up speed with Tara, and then boy, did we hit a skid, Stevie.
We hit the speed bump of all speed bumps, and this has to be probably the most frustrating of the Mercato season because I really thought it was going to change. I had some glimmer of hope that you actually put someone. And again, I'm not saying Maldini wasn't that person. I think Maldini did a good job of what he had, you know. But now, last year we went with a trio of people that obviously did not know what they're doing, and we had this pace. Now you bring in someone like Tade, who yes was at Lazio. Now is he so surprised that he has actually money to spend that he doesn't know how to spend it? I seriously doubt it. Uh, I don't understand Milan, and I know we'll touch on it after. I don't understand how they harp on one person, on one player, and forget that there's other pieces around this chessboard that need to be moved at the same time and upgraded, or you kill a pawn, and however chess is played. I'm not even the best chess player in the world. I actually suck at it. But there is a method to this Mercato, and you see teams that do it well, and people, a team like Napoli, for as much as we shit, and I personally shit on Napoli, they won the Scudetto and then started to address pieces in their, pieces and possible weaknesses in their we'll call it La Rosa, at lightning speed, and not only addressing pieces in La Rosa, but addressing pieces of depth where if something happens to this guy slots in, right? The sexy name of Kevin De Bruyne is great, and I see a lot of people, Serie A is getting old. I get it, but this is what Serie A is affording right now, and let's take it for what it is, because De Bruyne is a good player.
World class,
No,
absolutely.
same, not world class. There, stop with the world class, but he's class. He's class. World class is another level.
I mean, again, I'm just saying, uh, yes, maybe you can look at it like City A's getting these aging players, but again, if they come here and they dominate, it adds to their legacy. I'm hoping we get one of those in regards to Modric coming to the team, but we'll see. He hasn't even got a chance to play a minute yet. He's not even with the team yet. Our target striker changes every day. Went from Vavlic to Boniface to Retegi to Darwin Nunez to Gabriel. I don't know about that one. And Nunez stinks. All right, please keep him away from Milan. We don't need a guy who has a hard time scoring goals. No, thank you. But when I think about Milan and the lack of speed, to me, again, I have a feeling. I have a feeling we're going to address the striker position the way they addressed it with Tammy Abraham last season. I have a feeling it's going to be pushed back towards the end of the Mercato because they're going to look for a deal, because that's possibly the most expensive area, obviously, is a striker. So they're not going to go out and spend another 30-40 million when we're struggling with 130-40 million here.
No, and I agree with. I would love for them to have some sort of just some sort of logic behind this. Like, that's the frustrating part. I see the way the way Milan operates, and I read a lot, and I try to take it with a grain of salt. But the criticism is justified there, Fabio. Like, people are saying, but like, what is, like, people come and ask me on the street, what is Milan doing? And my answer is, I have no idea, because you were gonna ship away all your center backs, and now you're not selling anybody.
None of it.
Your midfield, yes, you got rid of Tijani Reindeers. You have not replaced him yet. You're putting all your eggs in one basket with who I think they want to replace him with. You did pick up a young Italian, Samuel Ricci. I just don't understand, what they want to do moving forward. Like, I hope Allegri has some say in who he will not buy for this team if this is the project for Milan and he's going to move forward. If it's not a project and it's a stopgap, this is just it's management failure 101.
Well, do you think it's like budget restrictions? Do you think it's internal disagreements? Or do you think it's like what I mentioned in regard for the striker? They're going to wait for late deals. Like, who do you think is Tare? Obviously Tare is the new guy. We're assuming he's the guy in charge. But is Moncada finding the deals that we need him to find? Is Furlani stopping the momentum over $1 million, $2 million? He the one penny pinching? Like, is this a strategy of patience,
This
or
is
are they
too
just
too
playing
many
it safe?
too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, I think.
I think there's an Indian in there. He's the little hobbit, like Gio likes to call him. I think he's the one who thinks he's the chief. But hopefully he learned his lesson from last season. Let's try to build the team he wants with Allegri so we can look good. But let's move on, Steve, to the real piece of the Mercato drama. The saga. This might be worse than episodes 7 through 9 of the Star Wars saga. This is terrible right now. They want 40. We offer 20. They want 40. We offer 26. They want 40. We offer 28. I mean, how many times are we going to keep doing this? And now again, they want 40 or at least close to 38 as possible. We're offering 32 plus incentives, plus this, plus that, 2.5. If we make the Champions League, 2.5, this and that. They don't particularly love this deal. They're publicly saying that this deal is not being agreed upon the way it is right now. So what do you make of all this mess with this guy from Club Brugge again?
I have no idea, Fabio. For me, it's really rotten. It's sad to see because this is the Kettler all over again, and it's the same team. And if you identified this guy, and you thought that he's a player that can make your team better, wouldn't you at one point look and say, I'm dealing with Club Brugge? Like, how many times am I going to get bullied by Club Brugge? This has to stop. Milan is the one who's supposed to be dictating the Mercato. They want 40 million, make someone else give them 40 million. Unless you're ready to pay 40 million, get out. Because we look like we're damaging the brand. We're cheap. We don't do it well. We don't communicate well. We don't navigate the Mercato well. And we look cheap. And we look like someone who's at a flea market that's always looking for a dollar. It's unbelievable. And I keep on reading it, and it's now 33.5 plus bonus plus this plus that plus. Go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves. Club Brugge, Jarshis, whatever your goddamn name is, everybody. And again, there's always a story, right, Fab?
Yeah. Always.
He told Club Brugge that he's gonna reject every offer if it's not Milan. Like
Milan.
this fiddle, only to Milan. Only to Milan. But they want 40 million. So it's very simple. Like, at a certain point, doesn't someone pick up the phone and say, but what do I need? I'm not giving you 40. And they're going to say, I want 40. And then at a certain point, you're going to say, but what number do I have to hit that's not 40 for you to sell me this guy? If I give you right now 37 million, will you say yes? Yes or no? If the answer is no, hang up the fucking phone and let's move on. 40 million, take the fucking 40 million that they want, go to Atalanta, give them 40 million for Lookman, and let's take Lookman. And let's make a splash. Let's say, you know what? Milan and Tari, you had balls. You went and get Lookman. You're probably going to have to pay him a bit more in salary, but we're looking ahead to the future. That's our project. And I'm taking that. I'm stealing that from the next slide because it's so important. And I forgot who asked me that question, but we have it in there. It's very small. Let me get this. It's the WhatsApp chat from the Patreon. I forgot who said it. I'm so sorry.
Hold on.
But that's a great idea.
Let's make it
big. That's what she said.
Julian said it.
Yeah.
So we'll go
So
with that. Should
I don't want to
Milan end
take.
negotiations with Brugge and hijack Lookman from Inter? MWP. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, but Steve, when we look at all these, and we'll go through all the posts that you have on here, but in regards to Jashari, why isn't there a plan B or C? Like you mentioned, you have a number that you're willing to go to 37, 38, whatever it is. They want 40, you don't want 40. All right. But there's nothing in these negotiations that can say, hey, I'll give you a 10% resale. I'll give you a 15%. I'll give you, 35 plus 2 million plus 3 million on this. Like, there's no incentive to get there. If not, how come there's not a plan B or C for us to be going to next that could say, look, you want to fuck around, you don't want to give us this player, we'll move on. The same way they did it to Donnarumma. You don't want to agree to the contract? We'll go find another goalkeeper. Where are your other options? Because I don't see them right now. I see other teams making moves, but Milan's all in on this guy, which gives them the advantage.
Absolutely. They're playing with their cards shown, and they almost become desperate. They almost become like that girl in the club when the lights go on, she just wants to get with someone. And she doesn't care who she's gonna get with, as long
That's
as
where
she
people
gets
do
with.
their. That's where people do their best work.
Exactly. But Milan is like that girl. They just go
Oh my
like
god.
all in and all, desperate. Yeah, and again, we'll forget about the girl, but Milan itself looks desperate to sign this player. Like really, like there's no one else. There's no one else who has a similar profile, and that's what scares me the most, Fabio, is that you did all this work all this year to find a replacement for Tijani Reindeers, who you knew you were gonna sell. Am I wrong, Fabio, in
Yeah,
saying that they
no.
knew they were gonna sell because they had identified this guy?
I
But
would
you
just say
identified one guy out of the whole world. We identified one godforsaken Swiss player who plays in Club Brugge. That's who you went and identified. So Mancada is just fucking jerking off on all the walls during the year, doesn't really do much, and says, you know what? I have a perfect person to take if we sell Tijani. We take the Swiss Club Brugge guy. Let's go crazy with Club Brugge. Or he's a secret agent for all the Milanese fans who want to kill Frulani. Because it can be hard palpitations over here, Fabio, with
yeah.
this Mercato here.
Steve, so let's look your slide here, right? Because the Mercato madness, we got a lot. Obviously, everybody's been talking about Jashari, but is there anybody who might be on their way in? I mean, let's kind of go around the slide. Let's talk here. So, well, what else do you have here?
Look, there's I think Timmy put it in the chat before, and I didn't make it in time to click on it. Sorry, Timmy. But the Susan Vlahovic again to you from Juve to Milan. Apparently they slashed their price from 20 to 12, and you spoke about it earlier there, Fabio, where you said that last minute Tammy signing kind of looks like we're gonna take Vlahovic off Juve's hands because it seems like no one else is interested in him either. So we're gonna take him.
I think it's the salary, though. How do we
Yeah,
work around the salary restraints that we have? That
he's gonna have no
he's like
choice.
$12 million a year.
We can't pay that. We can't pay that.
Hell no.
We can't pay that.
We can't even pay
So
half that. He needs like a Sevilla lopping of salary. I don't know.
the other one, Nunes, we spoke about it before, but I think the salary is a problem there too. Holland, they're
For Manchester
the guy
United.
from Manchester United is someone that I think he's made for Serie A. I think the English Premier League is way too fast and not intelligent enough for him. I'll be very honest, and I'm not making fun of any English Premier League people, even though I am. I think he's a smart player. He's a player who he needs people around him that are just as smart as him, and I don't think he had that at Manchester United. And I think coming back to Serie A would do him some good. I don't think Milan will purchase him, but the way Manchester United is spending money, They're gonna, they splashed, I think, 80 million pounds on a striker that I'd never heard before in my life. And if they're willing to, do a little Chelsea for us and give us this loan move for him, I think it would be great for him, and I think great for them as well, because it'll increase his worth, and maybe Milan does buy him in the end. Uh,
That wouldn't be
the
a bad
other
look.
the other shocking part of this slide, and it's the one that almost made me throw up, because Milan is so bad at selling people. If Milan, for some reason, knew that Yao Felix would be sold for 50 million
They should
this
have bought him
summer,
from Chelsea.
they should have bought him from Chelsea for 20, and we would have made 30. Like, this is
That's a flip
there's two
job
things.
right there.
This is two things, Fabio. Or Chelsea has a deal with the Saudi club to take Yao Felix off their hands, and somewhere down the line they'll pay this back, because there's no way on earth that Yao Felix, in the form that he's in, let me put that
Worth
very
$50
straight,
million.
in the form that he's in, is worth $50 million. I'm sorry, guys. He's a shell of himself, has been ever since he left Benfica.
Yeah.
This is highway robbery. And what frustrates me is that, if you look at it, at the end of the day, we sold Tajani Reindeers to Manchester City from what, maybe 10, 15 more than that?
And
This is pretty sad.
This is very sad. And it just shows that, first of all, this nobody has been sold more probably than João Felix. I mean, the amount of money that has not been returned ever on this investment, I don't understand how he keeps being moved. Well, I think it's, again, in regards to the Saudi league, they're just looking for players with name recognition. And Joao Felix is still fairly young, probably can be pretty dominant over there at their level. No offense to that league, but 50 million, yeah, that could have been a good flip job for us. We didn't have the sight to see it. All right, Josh put a good comment. We're gonna put it up because do you think that Jashari is gonna be under more pressure than, say, CDK was? I feel like CDK was, because he was the majority of that Mercato coming off a championship year. So he was the piece in regards to, like, you would look back, and again, this is not a fair comparison, but when Milan won the Champions League in 2003, the very next offseason, they went and bought a phenom. That phenom, of course, was Kaká. Now, is it fair to have those kind of ideas towards this young kid? No. But Jashari now is going to be one of the highest, if Milan agrees to 40 million, one of the highest, if not the highest transfer we've ever done in regards to us buying the player. That's going to come with a lot of pressure. Is it more than CDK had, would you say?
I don't think so, just because we don't have Champions League. We don't have any European football. He has to only concentrate on the league. I think he plays one game, he rests for 5. If he's not doing well, it won't be pressure. It will be consistency the problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you want to, hopefully, again, God forbid we ever get a player that hits the ground running in our league when they come from another league. Every other team, they get players, coaches, they all adapt quickly. Milan, we got to have patience. Give them time. It's a different league. We always have a damn excuse. Any other thing here, Stevie, in regards to this post before we move on to the people that are going out? Anything else that we might have missed? The thing in the middle, right?
The smoking gun. The thing in the middle, yes. But before we get to the thing in the middle, the little piece right underneath the Milan Weekly podcast sign, where Club Brugge is calling EPL teams to drive up this price and to create a bidding war. If that's true, that is typical. You hang up the phone and you never deal with Club Brugge again. Never, 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 never. The middle part is, people that are, the middle's from Gazzetta dello Sport, and basically tells you who left and who is coming in and who you want to sell. You understand? So
yes,
that's the thing that I don't understand. I don't understand the Adli. I don't understand the Benacer. Like we're August 1st almost, and these guys don't have a home. And if you're waiting on this money to spend money, well, then you should have sold them a long time ago. And the Camarda thing, guys, I know you talked about it, but this freaks me out, guys. This is not it's not a team that has a project. I'm sorry. You know, you can't make you can't go bring in Susan Vlahovic, who you will not pay $12 million a year, and tell me that Camarda, playing just as much as Vlahovic did, cannot have at least a half a decent campeonato. This is something that Italian football is by far light years away in terms of playing their youth, and I think this will be short lived. I think this is a 1 year stint in Lecce, and then after that he's coming back home and he never leaves again.
So you feel a bit alarmed. You're taking stock in the two games, even though one is against a semi-pro league. He did play against a Serie A team, but again, looking like maybe he's ready. Maybe he could be ready.
I'm
But
looking at the point, Fabio, that why does Barcelona do it? Why does Real Madrid do it? Why do these other leagues not shy away of starting their youth or playing their youth, using their youth? So then what do we have a youth system for? To loan them out and potentially sell them for 10, 12 petines here and
if
there
we
so that we
even
can
get
buy
that,
someone else? If we even get that, right? We sold the left back to who knows where for only him to turn around and be a starter at Liverpool.
Liverpool, unbelievable. Oh my lord! All right, so we're mentioning, players who's on their way out. So let's talk a little bit because we got to cover. Obviously, let's talk about the first thing. Not only did Emerson Royale get finally loaned out, but there was a bidding war for him. Two clubs, which much be delusional. I mean, maybe at least the Black Panther going back home to Brazil seemed to be more appealing to him, and they closed the deal with Flamingo. But Emerson Royale is gone. I have to look at the deal because I'm not even quite sure what the deal is. I couldn't believe. Honestly, I don't care what the deal is. I'm just happy he's gone. Happy they did it. But
Yeah.
he's out. Oh, here it is. Fees only $9 million if they agree to it. Obviously, we spent what 17 or 15 on this guy.
Yeah.
So we're taking a loss, but it's better that he's gone. And thank you, Conceição, for screwing up getting rid of him in January. But happy to see him go, finally out. Also today, Colombo going to Genoa for a loan. So that's, again, there's our second striker that we had on the board. He's gone. If he does well, that option to buy, it gets triggered to an obligation. So hopefully he does well enough that he stays at Genoa and we can make some money off of him. But
Is there not a Mercato window with a conversation about where Colombo will be loaned out next?
I mean, I wish we would have just came to the point of, hey, let's make a profit of him and move on. Like we're regurgitating the same thing, trying to get him on low Serie A teams. He does all right, but never enough to earn like a big payday for us. So yeah, I'm happy he's gone. In regards to Benacer, he's being looked at. Oh my God, Steve, how much was it? 40 million maybe by the Saudi clubs? I just think they are willing to buy anybody at this point for this amount. Jesus Christ.
If Yao Felix goes for 50, Benacer should go for 50. I'm sorry.
You think so?
I don't agree with it, but if one goes for 50, then I'm saying I'm doing a Club Rouge. I want 50. Saudi, you want to pay me 50 million. And then take 45. I don't know. I don't care, but take what you can get. If he's not part of your plans, and I like Benacer, I like the type of player that he is, but if he's not in Allegri's plans, and Allegri is your coach for now and the foreseeable future because you're going to trust him with this team, well, then it's time to move on from Benacer. And if you can get 40, that would probably be the record for Milan signing selling someone after the banter years. So
Yeah, that would be. I mean, again, we just sold Theo Hernandez for close to 30, if not 30, to them. Let's make another profit if we can get it. Benacer is not in the plans. What are your thoughts in regards to Adley? I know he's not necessarily a player of high caliber, being that Fiorentina didn't want to pick up him and he comes back, but having him be down in the Futuro, I mean, the disrespect. Jesus Christ.
yeah, look, it didn't work out for Adley. I don't have anything in terms of like team players. It seems like he was someone who was always with the team, didn't cause trouble,
No, he's the
didn't
barbecue
go to
guy.
the press. He's the barbecue guy. But again, someone when we purchased him, I had a friend who told me, he had some connections in France, and they said it's just not going to work out. He's not the player that everybody thinks he is.
Mm.
So I think best thing for him is, again, I don't know why he's in the Futuro, uh, but at a certain point you need to move on and you need to sell him and again replace this depth player. So if he's not going to be used for depth, and that's a type of player that I think would understand being a depth player for now, well then let's move on. That you're keeping him at the Futuro to do what? To take up a spot from somewhere else or to teach them what? How to barbecue? I don't know. Let's move on.
Maybe he's the DJ for the party. Anybody else do you like to see on their way out, Steve, that we haven't maybe mentioned?
Again, I don't. I want to see what comes in first before I say what goes out. Like honestly, I think the center backs need a little bit of a shakeup. We said it in the final show of the season. I'm not convinced with Pavlovic, Tamori, Chow, and Gabia. I would like to see an injection of youth, and I would like to see an injection of youth that comes from Serie A, that comes from a team that has a history of either creating these players or developing these players. But we need center backs that play the game, that are used to Serie A and understand the Serie A game. Like, I don't know if it's the guy Leone from Parma. I don't know too much about him, but a lot of people are
Only
hyped on
18
him.
years old, very
Yeah,
hyped at the moment.
but teams like Inter took chances on Bastoni, and look at what Bastoni came. They identified the talent, they brought it in, and he became the player that he is now. I think Milan need to get to that, and also start looking in their own wheelhouse, because players like Liberale want answers. There's so many. There's so many that they're gonna need answers. Like, are you gonna make them play, or like what makes Jashari so expensive that Liberale can do?
Yeah, Liberali is a conundrum because he literally has this season left, and then we lose him for free. So we got to make decisions. Speaking of a youngster, we're gonna get to our questions from the chat. Uh, R10 said earlier, what did you think of Komoto? Obviously, he's 17, playing in I believe the Primavera, not even in the Futuro. So young player getting some chance, got a few minutes at the end of this game. Obviously, he's a midfielder. I don't know too much about him, but he's 17, so he's not going to get much of a chance. But do you have any thoughts seeing his name kind of appear this last week?
Again, it is preseason. I would love for them to give them a chance in the Futuro now that we have it, whichever division they're playing against, as long as they're playing against men, and see and try to develop this Futuro for what it's for. Not what they did last year. Really have these youngsters play against men. Promotion, relegation, and yes, you have a future with Milan, and we're using it properly. That's what I want to see from Komoto. I wanted to see him dominate at the Futuro level and then get chances with the first team. Same thing like Camarda.
Marcus had this question earlier. Is anyone even hopeful we will sign Due from Strasbourg? They want 30 million, but we ain't offering that.
We
What do
offered
you
12.
think?
Marcus, when they want 30 and we offer 12,
We're not
it's
getting
a Club Bruges problem, Marcus. We're going through the same thing. It's minestra riscaldata, the same thing. If they want Due and they have identified Due as their back, they need to pick up the phone and say, what's the number that makes you sell him? And it can't be 30. And if they say nothing but 30 and you say 25 and they say no, you hang up and you move on.
Also, coming from Josh, why are we so set that thou, Malik Chow, being the guy we want to ship out? I know you just mentioned earlier that you weren't necessarily settled on the center back foursome that we have at the moment. This Fab Four is not so fabulous, so we might need a little shakeup. But why is Malik Chow, you think, the one that's always identified as maybe has some value that they can get a sale from?
It's exactly that. I think it's just because he has some value. I just don't think they would get the same amount of return from anybody else.
Definitely not Gabia. Pavlovich, he was a little rumored here or there, but I don't know. They did start those three. As much as I just want to say, hey, it's preseason, he's probably going with the guys he has available. I think he is kind of showing what he would be starting if these were his options from the get-go. Starting Pavlovich, starting Tomori, and going with Chow over Gabia. Gabia kind of being that fourth man to come in on the rotation, which is fine. I think, probably with the exception of Gio, everybody would be okay with that. But everything else. But I agree with you. I feel like we're missing a young fighter who maybe will get the other center backs to have to raise their level even higher so they can keep their position. So I don't know. Would you sell Chow though?
If the
Say
price is right and
30
they're
million
willing,
comes rolling.
I would sell Chow for 30 million. Yes.
All right, so let's give love, even though I feel like we kind of made this one. Anthony had mentioned earlier, I only super chatted tonight, and Anthony, you're the best. You came in even before we started. At this point, management needs to make a decision: either pay the 40 mil total and move on. Negotiations have gone long enough. Anthony, I think we all agree with that sentiment. But Steve, if somebody has to, Scalvini, that was another name that was coming up, but that's kind of quieted down. I haven't heard anything about that in weeks, if not months at this point.
Besides the injury that he picked up, I think he's that type of back. So
Injured? He's injured? Woo, man, I'm surprised he's not on our radar. All right, Stevie. Everybody, we appreciate you being in the chat. Of course, our super chat, Anthony. Stevie, we're almost at the end of the show. Let's go closing thoughts, Stevie. What are your closing thoughts of this summer that's been so far and Milan at the moment?
I need Milan to finish up this Mercato so that they can focus on the season, the plan, and hit the ground running from the beginning of the season. Because, like you said, we always say it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But for us, it's truly a marathon. It's one game per week. They get all the rest that they need, and I think Milan could make an impact this year if they increase a little bit of the depth of the squad as much as we can, knowing that we don't have that Champions League money, and our true star players play like stars. That's what I'm looking for with the rest of the preseason, injury free, and a Mercato that picks up some steam. This is very important from Timmy. A lot of people put it in. Would you take the Condor back? The Condor taking the place of our current, let's say, president would be a godsend because he's a Milanist. He would make Jerry Cardinale understand what it is to have this team in his grasp, even though he probably doesn't speak English well.
It's all right. We get a translator. A real translator will be just fine. I'm just going to echo that. If Galliani wants to come back to be our president and helps push this idea of getting our own stadium. Now, I would say even getting a stadium with Inter, which is probably the last thing we want, as long as it's owned by us and not the way the scenario is at the moment with the San Siro, we need to be self-sufficient in regards of having our stadium generate income for us. So that's how we can build a sustainable project for the future. There's nothing. Yeah, anything is better than Scaroni. Listen, Scaroni's there to just be number one for him, right? We need somebody who will put Milan's interest before their own, and hopefully Galliani will do that. I believe he would. Get us the stadium. The stadium leads to many things. The first thing it'll lead to is an evaluation of the club, and then hopefully a sale of the club to people who will take the club seriously, who will want to put a winning product on the field above all everything, and in the end, only care about sporting success. That when they have to eat a loss, hopefully they have so much money that they could care less. This is just a passion project. You got vintage pitch. We need somebody to have a Milan vintage pitch passion project and actually want to invest in the team. Not always be worrying about the winning the being self-sufficient and never having a loss and always being in the green and this and that. We don't care. What we want to see is trophies, and hopefully if Galliani comes back and that leads to a stadium actually being San Donato is doing nothing, Steve. They're going to plant potatoes over there soon, and we're going to be farming over there because they're not doing anything with that. Hopefully Galliani comes in and creates some fortune. Maybe this could be a miracle season for many things on all fronts. But Steve, any other thoughts before we say goodnight to our fans tonight?
You said it. The passion project for me. If we buy enough T-shirts, guys, and I become a fashion mogul, I will move to Milan. I will purchase Milan. We will have our own unique stadium. It will be called again San Siro 2.0. And trust me, I will go in the red to make sure that this team wins.
I love it. Guys, thank you everybody for watching live. If you're watching later, please leave a comment and make sure you hit the like button. Everybody else, we appreciate you in there. Smash the like button. Share with everybody. If you haven't already, please subscribe. For me and Stevie and all of Milan Weekly Podcast, we appreciate you all. Ovunque and sempre.
Forza Milan!
Peace out, everybody. Good night.